The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
As a former New Hampshire state representative who marched with Dr. Martin Luther King in 1963, he currently serves on the New Hampshire Commission for Human Rights. He's a product of Birmingham, Alabama, where at one time he had to guess how many jelly beans were in a fruit jar just to be able to vote.
We've come a long way, but we're not there yet.
Together we will explore the visible laws, invisible laws, and the structures above and beneath our human surface that keep us reaching for the stars. It is his goal to work with you in putting Nashua back on top, to be voted the #1 city in the nation again.
We are in a crisis situation, and that's what we're going to talk about.
I'm Harvey Keye. Welcome to Nashua Strong.
Good afternoon, Nashua. We're back again from last week, you know. We hope you had a great weekend, and we told you we're going to come back with a special guest today. And that special guest is Dr. Jahmal Mosley from Massachusetts. He's now the superintendent of schools in New Hampshire. I am honored to have him take his time out, and he's going to do a little time. And he says we're okay, but he has a daughter's basketball game to get to, and we're not going to mess around because I know he will be in the jailhouse if he doesn't get there and see her play. Now, I have to tell you this. You know I tell you this every time. I was in Korea, 1954 to 56, came back to Birmingham, Alabama, and went downtown to vote, registered to vote, and they told me I could not vote unless I counted the number of beads in a jar. At that time, I was hard as this table, and I felt that way. And I was going to take care of the person who told me that. The guy came from behind the curtains with a big gun. And I turned around and left, and I think that's the reason I'm here today. But voting is my mantra. Voting is in my circulatory system. And I always wonder, why is it they didn't want me to vote in Birmingham, Alabama at that time? Why is it that they don't want you to vote here and across the country? We want to stick to finding out the value of voting. Why do we vote? It's not just a vote, but it has real meaning, and we're going to get to that as we keep going, not today, as we keep moving on. I'm embarrassed with the 18% turnout of voters, eligible voters for the last election. We can do better than that. And when we don't vote, we get what we got. And some of us don't think that's very nice, but it's up to you. It's across the board. It's not a party. It's not race, creed, or gender. It's about being a citizen in this country. So we'll talk about it again another time. But now I want to take this special moment to tell you how honored I am to meet Dr. Jahmal Mosley. He's new here, been here 6 months, maybe. Got a house, got a wife, got some kids, and he's going to get to a basketball game in a few minutes. I want to ask him, welcome. First of all, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And I had a couple of questions I want to ask you, and we could get going right down the line here. And the first question is, where did you grow up?
Thank you for having me. Thank you for your service to our country. I appreciate it. And just for you and for the viewers, I did vote in this last election here in Nashua. So,
did you get a chance to vote?
I voted, yes.
Thank you, sir, very much.
So, so I am originally from Brockton, Massachusetts, and that used to be a small suburb outside of Boston, probably like 20 minutes away. Brockton has gone through what I would call an evolution, and now Brockton's a city. So it's known as the City of Champions. Brockton is a place known for its shoes and for boxing. So we've got some great boxers coming out.
Who was a boxing guy from there?
The great, the only Rocky Marciano.
Rocky Marciano, he knocked out Joe Louis.
He did. Rocky Marciano was probably like maybe 5'8" and probably 170 pounds as a heavyweight fighter. And in my generation, in my time, I had the privilege of watching Marvelous Marvin Hagler box in Brockton. So we're the city of boxes and champions.
And great firefighters. I know that because I know somebody who lives in your town, Brockton. Yeah.
My hometown,
Yeah, your hometown. Now, that's where did you go to high school? Brockton?
Brockton High.
And what was your first job out of high school?
That's an interesting question. I'll tell you the job I did when I was in high school, and then I'll tell you when you're in college and moving on, you do a variety of jobs. So one of the first jobs I did, and my mom still lives in Brockton. My mom lives...
She lives in Brockton now?
Yes, right now. She still does.
Great.
Yeah, and so does my twin brother does as well.
Okay.
He still resides there. And so one of my first jobs that I did as a kid, I was 15 years old, living in Brockton. And again, this is Brockton maybe 25 years ago. I worked in a farm. It's called the Ames Estate, and it's in Easton. It's a farm that is connected to, or used to be connected to, I don't know if it is anymore, to Stonehill College. And believe it or not, I used to bale hay. I used to bale hay on a farm. We're making $3.50 an hour. Have you ever baled hay?
And pick cotton too.
Ooh. So you know how
I know,
hard it
yeah,
is to
it
bale
is, yeah,
hay.
yeah.
You get hay rash.
Yeah.
You have to wear long clothing.
Yeah.
So I literally baled hay and like shoveled manure on a farm when I was a kid in Brockton. So I did that. When I graduated or left Brockton, my college employment varied. So I worked at Stop and Shop, which is a pretty popular grocery store in Brockton. I worked the night shift, make $5.25, stocking shelves.
Well, that's stuck in your mind.
It's a very it's a motivator to stay in school.
Yeah.
It gives things in perspective for me.
Yeah.
And I worked at Papagino's making pizzas.
You ate a few pizzas, I suppose.
I still do.
That's great. All right. We're going to move right along here. And the first job out of college was what?
So my first job out of college, I worked at a private, they call them Chapter 766 schools, so like private special education schools. So I worked at a place called the Walker Home and School. I was a child care worker for kids who had social emotional needs. And I also worked in, I did like what I call like day camps in the summertime for kids in need as well. So I did that in the Boston and the Cambridge area for kids with social emotional needs. And then I worked at a place called the Gifford School with kids with social emotional needs.
Great, great. And we're moving right along because, listen, the worst thing I'm going to try to do, I can do, is stop this man from going to the high school or watch his daughter play golf. So we got to, play golf. No, play basketball. What inspired you, Dr. Mosley, to continue your education?
I mentioned a couple of experiences, you know. I think that I was very fortunate that I was the first generation to go to college. So I was the first Mosley to graduate from college. So that was a motivator. My father didn't go to college. My mother had some college, but not a bachelor's in college. I had a real strong connection to the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. I know I'm in New Hampshire and I understand that, but that's my alma mater. So, I love UMass. I think it gave me a great experience. It allowed me to grow as an individual, but also as an intellect. I think that you have to find the right fit in your life in terms of where you're connected to, social and emotionally. And the University of Massachusetts was certainly what I would call probably my second home.
Now, UMass, Amherst is way up in Amherst. How far was that from Brockton?
Probably about a 2.5 drive.
Two and a half hours?
2.5 hour drive.
Yeah, yeah. Now, that's marvelous. UMass is a great place. I have a grandson who's down at UMass Bedford.
Awesome.
UMass Bedford in Massachusetts. It's below Brockton. It's almost the Cape.
You mean UMass Dartmouth?
Yeah. But that's still UMass.
Yes.
UMass Amherst.
It's like part of the UMass
Lowell.
system, yep.
It's a whole big system. Right, great. This question I ask you because I think you have what I believe is self-respect. And self-respect goes a whole lot of different ways, but deeper inside of self. So I ask you this because I believe you believe, and I haven't spoken with you about this. Do you believe self-respect is a foundation for good citizenship?
Yes, I think that's one variable or one characteristic. I think great citizenship starts with one's own perspective, and that perspective is showing kindness. Be kind to people. And kindness is something where you feel empathy with people, you understand that you're part of a whole, and it's not about you. Kindness and citizenship are together in my mind. And when you're self-reflective, you show self-respect.
Wow. That was more than I expected. But I also think that that ties in with if you have self-respect, you respect the creator that created you because that's a divine universe. You're part of that. All of us, children of God, whomever that God may be. So if you disrespect, if I disrespect you, I'm disrespecting in my mind the creator that made you. And you me. That's a whole big another conversation. But it goes like we're all, whomever God is, all of us, 7.5 billion of us, got 2 eyes, a mouth, a nose, a head, and all of the other kinds of parts, are part of that universe. And if that's true, when I disrespect you, I respect the creator that made you and all of us. We won't talk about that much more today. Dr. Mosley, do you see, or have you found in Nashua diversity and inclusion as you expected?
Yes, I think Nashua is very diverse. It's diverse in its population. It's diverse in terms of the language spoken here. It's also very diverse in terms of its perspectives. Let me give you an example. Perspective in terms of how people view the world, in terms of people how they come to view education. I said it in my interview. I believe like Nashua is a microcosm of America with so many different diversities, so many different people coming here. I think if you are a person that believes in diversity and diversity in terms of our kids, our faculty, perspective, by far Nashua is the most one of the most welcome places that I have been to so far. And I don't say that to just put words out there, not for the purpose of this interview. If I didn't believe that, then certainly I wouldn't be working here, nor would I move my family here.
I certainly appreciate that, and I want to say and tag on to that, Nashua is, this show is called Nashua Strong.
Okay.
It is strong because it's the strongest city in the state of New Hampshire. One is because Jim Donches has been the leader of this state, the mayor of this city, 3 times when this city became the #1 city or in the top 20 cities in this country to raise a family and bring up kids. That I am so proud of, and I think that is worthwhile. And I was going to ask you, we're getting close to, we got 7 minutes ago. Is it, hopefully, Dr. Mosley, you can take what the strengths of Nashua is now and build on it and make it better so that maybe we'll become we'll do it 4 times. We've already done it 3 times. The only city in this country that have had the headline, the newsbreaker, it says we are #1 city to live in and raise a kid. I hope you can take what we have already and build on it, and I believe you will. Do you see implementing a plan of new ways of operation, the mandate of leadership? What I mean by that, change, the only reason, no, I don't want to say the only reason, but the reason I believe you're here is because there's a change, need change. And that change, in my opinion, is for the better. I don't want to compare good, bad, or worse, but to move forward on what we have already. And I believe you bring that to the table to build on what this city is looking for in the future. Would you agree?
So a couple things. First of all, I think Mayor Donches has done some great work, and I have the utmost respect and admiration for Mayor Donches and his staff, Kimberly Kleiner, all the people that have been connected to the mayor. They've been very supportive of my transition, very helpful in just trying to, I know that I can always pick up the phone, ask questions, and by far he's just done some great things in terms of welcoming me, my family. Hope I didn't have the audio there. Welcoming myself, my family, the teachers, and my administration. He's been nothing but the best, so I truly appreciate that from the mayor in his office. Thank you. When it comes to change, you and I talked a little bit about this off camera. Certainly there is change when you hire someone like myself. For a long time, I do plan on changing some things, and I'm not bashful for saying that. Number one, Nashua has experienced three different. I'm the third superintendent in this position in the last 3 years, and so.
In the last 3 years?
Yeah. So last year there was an interim. Before that, Mr. Conrad was here. Now I'm here. So there's been three.
Conrad was here for a long time.
He was here for about 8 years, I believe, and then you had a transition where Dr. Brown was here, and then I was selected as superintendent.
Yeah.
So over the last 3 years, Nashua has experienced 3 different superintendents. Over the last 3 years, there's been so many different initiatives that have come down the pike in terms of our administration, in terms of initiatives moving forward in the district, that has caused this feeling of unsettledness or unsettled situation within the district. We've also experienced three different sets of assistant superintendents within the district as well. So you've had many changes that are going on. So I actually want to put a stop to that, believe it or not. I'm here for the long run. I'm here to provide that stability. I'm here to really say we're going to work on a strategic action plan where it's going to set the course for our budget, for our curriculum, for our assessment, in the next, what I would call 4 to 5 years for our district. We're not going to focus on 15 different things in the district. We're going to select and prioritize 4 to 5 initiatives that we want to focus on as a district. We've already, in my mind, have identified 2 of them: full-day kindergarten and board governance. I think that's important.
What's the second one?
Board governance, how the school board functions and operates and interacts with both my faculty and also with the general public. I think that's crucial. I think that this is a tremendous opportunity where we have a new board coming in that's going to provide some of that change a little bit. So I don't know how that all shakes out, but certainly that's on the agenda. Change is something where done correctly, it benefits what I would say the person or individuals that it is focused on. And with that said, I want change for this district to be focused on one thing, not on Dr. Mosley, not on you, not on what I would say, the TV in front of us. Change is going to focus on putting our kids first. The change is going to focus on getting our kids, all of our kids, Nashua kids, a superior education that they deserve. The change is going to focus on what you described earlier as really putting Nashua not as a good school district, not as an excellent school district. I have no interest in that. In my mind, Nashua is going to be a model district nationwide.
Thank you so much. I love what you just said, because I think we are the city that can be modeled and show the world what we can do. But we have to perform. We have to perform, and we got 2 minutes going here, folks. And Dr. Mosley is looking at me like, Harvey, I got to get out of here. I know that. But I have this last thing. It's not the last thing, because we're going to have to do this again. Your organizational chart, what does it look like? What does it look like? What does that look like when you're managing 2,000 people, or that's what you really are doing? It's you have all these 2,000 and 12,000 kids in your hand, and we are looking for you to shape, in a sense. And we got 1 minute and 40 seconds, and I want to ask you to answer that. Yes, I do. I really want to get you to answer that.
Okay.
What does that look like, Dr. Mosley?
Okay. So there's 2 types of organization charts I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
Okay. The first one is the personal. So at home, I'm at the bottom. Then, it comes I guess it comes, I don't know, Netflix
Yeah.
and Hula,
Yeah.
right? And then, my kids,
Yeah.
probably my bills,
Yeah.
and then my wife. So it's kind of like a pyramid.
Okay.
So I'm a bottom feeder or something,
right.
whatever you want to do. And I guess my kids are my own school board where there's a little snow on the ground. They're asking me and instructing me, can you cancel school? Can you cancel school? So that's the personal piece. What I'd like to see, to be honest with you, is what I echoed before. The focus of everything we do in the schools should be the focus. You talk about organization. In the middle should be the kids. And then based on the middle.
Say that again.
In the middle should be the kids.
I thought they were first.
Yeah, in the middle. When you focus on something in the middle, that means that's your focus.
That
That's
is
the
the
number one
focus.
focus,
There's no-
right? And then we have the governance of the school, the leadership
Has
of
that
the
been formed already?
Well, the governance of the school is guided by the school board.
Okay.
And really, when it's like school board, then you get into the superintendent. So it's kind of all encompassing, but all of these governing forces, everything that we do should be focused on students and their social and emotional well-being.
Dr. Mosley, you've been fantastic. I'm going to say this to you. You don't have to answer. Do you believe we must not listen how to perform, but we must be how to perform? Would you agree? In part, I know you're going to say in part. Dr. Mosley, it's a
All right.
pleasure.
Take
Thank
care.
you so much.
All right.
Now get out of here and go see that young lady play ball.
All right.
And we'll have you again. And thank you. You've been such a marvelous guest in Nashua. We don't get this opportunity often, but listen to the man who's going to help stabilize and grow and grow and grow and become better every day.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.